What's up, everybody? It's day 73 of 100 Days of Codes, and we're back on the video attack. Yesterday we were on the train, so there was no video yesterday, but today we're back on it once again. We all know it's 100 Days of Code again, we are most of the way through it now, which is really hard to believe. I remember day one, and now we're here. And we're also in week 11, day 3 of School of Code, the most amazing boot camp for a diverse group of people to get them in tech and diversify the tech industry, which is really, really awesome. So, what is 100 days about? 100 days of code about? Well, one, the rules is one, we code 1 hour a day. Two, we keep ourselves accountable publicly to you find people on LinkedIn and Twitter. And number three, we share our thoughts and feelings about sort of the learning, the coding, the journey, what it's all about. So today, it's been an amazing day. We've learned a lot of cool stuff. I mean, it's been really, really fun. Um, of course, we started as always. We started with a little bit of squats, as always, the way you got to do things. And then from there, then we sort of started reading some documentation and experimenting. And we learned a little bit about use context. And so essentially, it's one of those things that like we were learning about sort of how when you use props and that sort of thing, you might pass them down a component tree. And there may be a prop that isn't used by other components that are further down that tree, and it's getting passed from thing to thing, and they call that prop drilling. When you sort of drill a hole through another component and you drop it through the next one, and you drill a hole in there and you pass it through the next one, but it's not being used in any of those other components. And there's this sort of magical thing in React called use context. And context gives you the ability to create a context. So you can create a components where you can create a context, and then you can take that context, and then you're able to essentially create a context provider. And that context provider, you can then wrap it around where you want to make that context available in. So if it's, for example, the third component down to the last one, and you want to make your context available in that, or your prop available, or whatever it is available in that thing. So for example, let's say you had an image, but you didn't need that image in the other child components, but you did need it further down the line. You can use create context and the sort of context provider, and you can wrap that context provider around the component, the bits that you're using, and you can use the context hook. So in React, anything that has use at the front is a hook, and so you use this context hook to then bring that into there. And so you might, for example, maybe it's like a user or an image or whatever it is, you might say use context, and then inside you might say user context, or it might be image context or something like that, and you can pass that down. So we learned about that. We messed around with that a little bit and learned what that was like, and that was really fun. And then after that, we began to look at custom hooks. And with custom hooks, of course, as I said before, you use at the beginning, and you can create custom components that are custom hooks, and they always need to begin with the use. So you might have, for example, something like use fetch, and so as opposed to that fetch being inside of a different component like the app component or something, you can then get that logic out, and then you can put it into a use effect custom hook folder or file, and that sort of thing, and you can bring all the logic in there. And so it does all the fetching inside of that use fetch custom hook, and then you can then bring that custom hook into whichever file you need to use that in. You can bring all of that logic in, but it makes it look a lot cleaner inside that file, and you can still use that fetch inside that thing by importing it in, but essentially it makes it all your code a lot cleaner, and it sort of hides the logic away into their own little files. So that's a really good find, and really enjoyed that. Then it doesn't look such a mess in different files. Looks really organized. It's really easy to read because then you can sort of make it really reusable as well. So the different things and the different components. So for example, let's say you had to use fetch, and it's passing in a URL. Then you could then define that URL in whichever. So for example, we did a exercise where we had a dad joke one, and we had a Pokemon viewer, and so they're both fetching data, but you could define the URL. So you take the custom hook, you bring that into the component of dad joke, you bring that component into the Pokemon viewer, and then when you bring that in, then you define as a variable the URL of whatever you want the URL to be. So for dad joke is the dad joke URL. For the Pokemon viewer, it's the Pokemon URL. And then when you've done that, all it does, it takes that URL you define, which it says const URL equals, and that URL is then passed into that custom hook, and it goes through the fetch process and it brings it back, and you can return that. So it's really, really cool, really reusable, and an amazing thing. So whatever the case, guys, learnings today, it's been really fun to learn some new things, to sort of level up, as they say, as far as our knowledge of React and in our journey as developers. And, it's felt really tired from the train journey yesterday, but just stuck it through, continued to focus on myself. My pair partner has been really helpful, and we just sort of kept each other engaged. We did lots of research together, and we figured out problems together, and yeah, it's been a good day overall. So really happy with the progress. Excited about sort of checking out some more projects and fine-tuning a few things. But yeah, looking forward to, I'm going to deploy a few sites, I think. I need to tweak a few of the projects, get my portfolio done. So there's lots of fun things to do. But whatever the case, it's been an amazing day. Have a great evening. I'm off to go help with the kids and do parental responsibilities. Maybe I'll do some more coding a little bit later. But whatever the case, guys, it's been wonderful. Have a good Wednesday, whatever you get up to. And we'll see you guys soon. Peace out.